The odds as an actor that you're ever like just dead right for something, it doesn't come along that often. But when I read Esther, I was like, oh my God.
I like called Jeremy's grandma and I'm like, so would you consider me a shitsva?
You guys, a shitsva.
How do you say it?
Shiksa. I was making a couple $100 to play a gig here and there for decades. There were like shady situations all the time. This wasn't the Eras Tour, Mom.
And your career just kind of took off from there.
Kind of you to say no. My career took off very few years ago.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to Post Run High. I am so excited for you guys to watch or listen to today's interview with Jackie Tohn. Jackie is one of the stars of Netflix's Nobody Wants This. Season 2 is coming out in February, so I was super excited to be able to sit down with Jackie, learn all about her, hear about the filming of the show, and I really think you guys are going to enjoy this episode. A few months ago, when the show Nobody Wants This first came out, I watched it in one sitting, binged the entire show in one night. And I think it's because I relate so much to the characters in the show. For those of you who don't know, my fiance Jeremy is Jewish and I'm Catholic. And Jeremy's family is just full of so many characters. I'm really, really close with Jeremy's grandma, Grandma B. And Grandma B is just such a stereotypical Jewish grandma. If you know, you know. And so when I was watching Nobody Wants This, I just felt like I was almost watching my own life on screen. Like I connected so much to the characters in the show. So to be able to, a few months later, sit down with Jackie, it really is just a dream. Anyways, I don't want to ramble, so I just want to say thank you so much. It's absolutely incredible that we have gone from running on the streets of New York with a tripod in hand, asking strangers to run with me in exchange for a pair of sneakers, to now being able to sit down with our guests after our runs and just go even deeper. Your support really does mean the world to me, so make sure you follow this podcast, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and without further ado, let's get into the episode. Jackie?
What?
Welcome to Post Run High.
Thank you very much. I asked Jeremy as we were coming in from the run, I was like, so this is what exercising feels like? Like my heart's pounding and I'm like in a really good mood. I feel like a little bit geeked. And then it's literally, that's what a Post Run High actually is. I was explaining your show to him by accident.
So Jackie and I, for reference, for those of you listening, we just did a running interview. If you're coming from my running interview show, welcome. Jackie and I just ran a mile. And I think it was your first time running in a minute.
Listen,
so we love encouraging. Yeah.
It was only a mile?
We probably fell at a mile, maybe a little under.
Oh, that's so disappointing. I was so proud of myself. Like I thought we were like bolting for ages.
We were.
And we were like lightly jogging for a brief time. It's
You were so
upsetting.
good.
Okay.
You were
I was
so,
proud
so
of
good.
myself. I did good.
Wait, is it true that your parents were PE teachers?
Both of my parents were fully PE teachers, incredible athletes both. My mom was an amazing, they're both around, but they aren't PE teachers anymore. So when I say was, my mom used to be like an incredible field hockey player, played volleyball, played everything. And my dad, he was a gymnastics coach in Brooklyn, and he trained my brother, and he was my brother's coach for everything, soccer, baseball, I want to say basketball. I mean, it's insane.
That's amazing.
And I can't kick, throw, catch.
So you grew up with two PE parents that were physical education teachers, and you didn't
I was
love
just
sports.
like had tap shoes on from the day I was born.
Right.
I just was jazz handing from birth, and everyone else was an athlete.
Did you ever play sports, like soccer, as a little kid?
I played soccer, and I think I only remember the story as opposed to remembering the experience. But my mom used to do my hair either half up or two half ups, so I guess quarter ups.
Yeah.
And so in my soccer picture, I think my team was Stride Right. That was a shoe store in Oceanside, Long Island. And there's a picture of me in a yellow shirt holding a soccer ball with like one leg up and the fake stands in the background with my quarter ups. And apparently that was the only time I ever played soccer. And while all the kids were running around, I had undiagnosed ADHD, obviously. And I picked all the grass.
I was literally just going to say you were picking grass.
Baby, I picked a handful and then I would throw it in the sky and then I would count it while all the kids ran by me.
Okay, but what I got out of that story also was that you were one of the little girls growing up that always had a specific hairstyle.
Yep.
I love that.
Always.
I never had that.
But
They're always the girls that had like the little pigtails and they were kind of known for it.
No. That wasn't me.
Okay, cool.
Deeply, deeply not me. me. My hair was always parted in the middle and straight down, always and forever. I'm so independent and fiercely self-sufficient because my mom is that way.
Right.
Like I wore a tuxedo to my bat mitzvah.
Wait, I love that.
We like went to Oceanside Tux, we rented, it was like a whole thing.
That is iconic. And you had a Hollywood themed bat mitzvah. I saw that on a podcast.
I'll have to show you the pictures of
cute.
the bat mitzvah tux. I just got a couple. My mom just texted me.
Okay, so you didn't love sports growing up, but you were a child actor. You started acting when you were 9. So I'm sure that took over your life in a way that sports would have.
I started acting when I was 9, but even before that, I can't think of a time when I didn't want to do this.
Right.
It's really wild. When I really think about it, like when I was getting on the train, walking to Herald Square, and I'm just being like, what the fuck?
You made it.
It's not even that.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
It
is
is.
actually exactly that. And I guess maybe part of my like insecurity is even like admitting that to myself.
You've been in the industry for so long, since you were 9 years old,
Decades.
and to now have
Decades.
you've been in so many shows, you've been acting your whole life, and to now have this one show that's a top
It's
show on
wacky.
Netflix. For anybody listening, we're talking about Nobody Wants This, for reference, that Jackie just starred in. When I tell you, this is the most full circle moment for me, because I was telling Jackie before we started recording, but I binged the show in one night, and I also worked with Netflix to do a lot of promotion for the show. I was obsessed with your character. You were so iconic in it. It makes so much sense that you were casted for the role. So I'm so excited to get into everything about Nobody Wants This, but it's amazing that you are part of a show that's such a phenomenon.
Thanks, dude. That's, it's sort of exactly how I feel. Like, I'm just like, you make a lot of things and you hope anyone sees any of them.
Yeah.
And then you do a thing and then a lot of people see it and it just feels good. It's just like, oh, this is definitely different.
Right. But let's back up and like talk about the growth as an actress, because what you kind of just explained is so common for so many actresses.
It's definitely the most common scenario, undoubtedly, right? Like, I mean, if you're lucky, you get a couple guest stars a year. In 2021, after Glow got canceled, I lost my health insurance. Then we had COVID for 3 years, and then we had the strike. And we are coming out of like the darkest time in decades to be in this business. I mean, there were no opportunities. And we couldn't do anything. And Nobody Wants This was even on hold because of the strike.
I mean, everything was on hold, right? It was
but a lot
time for people.
and a lot of things died during the strike and then didn't come back after.
Did you film anything that never came out?
No. I mean, that happened with Glow. Because with my show before Nobody Wants This, we got picked up for a season 4. So people are always like, "Oh, bummed you didn't make season 4." I'm like, "Oh no."
We wanted to.
We were 2 episodes in.
Right.
We got shut down because of COVID and we were supposed to come back. And then we just never did.
So what was your life like during that time? Was it like, did you feel like it was very uncertain, or were you kind of in like a comfortable spot?
Both. I was in an unbelievably lucky place because I had just hosted a Netflix cooking show called Best Leftovers Ever, which also died during COVID because the last thing anybody wanted to do was think about how to like repurpose food from, it was all just like, everything needs to be sanitized and fresh and clean, and we were Purelling our groceries and XYZ. I had a really, really unbelievably, like probably the best career year of my life in 2019, which was Glow and my cooking show and my cartoon Do Re and Me, which was an animated preschool musical series on Amazon. But then COVID. And listen, it's undoubtedly worse to have never gotten those things than to have gotten them and then literally lost them all because of COVID.
Right, it's crazy.
But also sucked. And so it's like, I always feel weird talking about how much it sucked to lose those things, because I obviously, as an actor who had so little opportunity and so little for so long, I understand that that is objectively worse. But I was lucky because I wasn't financially screwed.
Right.
I mean, I wasn't rolling in the dough, but I was like, I'd be okay.
Right.
Where a lot of people I knew were like literally not going to be okay, and there were no jobs to get in the business or out of the business. You could barely leave your house. So I was lucky in that regard. And as far as your question of like, what was my life like during that time? I was, like the rest of us, more concerned about getting COVID than I was about getting an acting job, because there was no vaccine. You were hearing these horror stories. And so I was just pretty much staying inside and felt lucky to have worked the year prior.
What did you do to keep busy? Like, are you a writer at all? Do you like
I
writing?
am. My writing partner Rachel and I, we wrote a feature, a musical feature, but which we're gonna try and take out and see what happens.
I love that you have this musical theater side of you too, right? Like, you love singing, and I know you auditioned for American Idol.
But I was on American Idol.
You were on American Idol, yeah. But I want you to back it up and tell us, like, what was the first show that you were on when you were 9?
When I was 9, I was doing I was auditioning. Can you imagine? I wish I saw a video of me at 9 on an audition. I remember when I was younger, people would say to my mom, like I'd be on audition, they'd be like, oh, she's always on, huh? But we didn't know that I was, we assumed. But that was like before they were diagnosing girls with ADHD. And so I just was like, I am an absolute internal combustion engine. This is just sort of what it is. And when I go to sleep, I go to sleep.
Do you feel like that energy level has helped you with acting?
I mean, I have so much energy. I was like, I need to do stuff. So I was like touring and I was like a musical comedian and I was on the road for it. And so I think the energy definitely helps with things like that, where I'm just like planning a tour and going on doing every single thing myself, going to these college conferences and trying to get booked and then flying to Kearney, Nebraska and flying to South Dakota. And it definitely helps in those regards.
Wait, it's so interesting how much you've done. So can you give us like kind of the career path and like how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I was very lucky because my mom had a close friend named Aggie Gold who ran a company out of Baldwin, Long Island called Fresh Faces Agency. She represented me, and I always wanted to be a TV star. Always cannot remember a time where I wasn't like in the bath doing impressions of commercials. Like it's just for this forever. And my mom is deeply sickly funny. Like she is beyond. My dad's really funny too, but he's very musically gifted. And he writes songs and sings and plays piano. He taught me how to play guitar.
Wow.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. And so I came from a very artistic family, but nobody was pursuing it. And then when I wanted to be an actor, my mom quit her job. And I mean, I think she was already substitute teaching because she was raising me and 2 brothers, and my dad was working full time. He's also a postal historian, so he was insane. So he was like doing these like trade shows on the weekend and working 5 days a week, working 30-something weekends a year. And so my mom was raising me and my brothers and substitute teaching at that point. And so then I think she stopped doing that to take me on auditions. And when I think I got my first gig on The Nanny when I was like 12. And then they were really few and far between. I did a bunch of stuff for Nickelodeon. I had like a development deal at Nick. They were trying to make me like a kids show. I tested for all that, 4 or 5 seasons in a row. And then they made me my own show called And Now This, which was a spinoff of all that, and Now This. And then we only did a couple episodes. And then I probably was 15 at that point. And then I went to the University of Delaware.
You were studying like to be an elementary school teacher, right? Or something like that?
Listen, yes. The University of Delaware is the reason I moved to LA because we had such a long break. There was a mini-mester between December and February. So all my friends went back to school in January. And since we had such a long break, my agent was like, go to LA. It's pilot season. It's like the young adult year of the, Dawson's Creek had just come out. And she was like, go to LA. We'll try it out. You have like practically 6-7 weeks to be out there. So I don't think we went out for quite that long, but we went out for a while, me, my mom, and my agent. And then I was getting so many meetings and so many things. And then this guy, Danny Jacobson, signed me to a development deal, and he was going to write me a show. He show ran Roseanne and I'm Mad About You. And I was like, well, I guess I'm dropping out of school. And then I was still on the fence, and I went to the TV Guide Awards with my friend Ben Salisbury, who I'd been on The Nanny with many, many years ago. And I met one of my favorite actresses who, yes, I had posters of on my wall, Jessica Biel.
Oh my God.
We became good friends at the TV Guide Awards. We literally met and we're like, what? Very similar vibes, deep voices, very like tomboy energy. She drove like a super fucking old like Bronco, and just like she's such a badass. We met, we were like, okay, game recognized game. Not that I'm nearly as cool as her, but you get the point. All of this, I was like, I got to go back to college. And she was like, huh?
How old was she? Like, was she?
She
in
was
her
17.
young
I was 18.
Wow.
And she was like, just move in with me. Like,
So
live
you
with
guys
my
are so young. Literally, you
children.
and Jessica Biel.
Children,
in your teens.
baby.
That's the
she was
cutest
like,
thing ever.
She was like, move in with me and my parents in Calabasas. I was like, I don't have a car. She was like, you use my car. And now, because I wasn't moving into nowhere, my parents were like, okay. Her mom called my mom. Her mom, Kim, is like still close to me to this day. And she called my mom, was like, hey, I'm Jesse's mom. And my parents came out and they met Jesse's parents. And my parents were like, okay, I mean, if you're going to be moving here and living with a family in a gated community, I mean, best case scenario.
Yeah,
and of course I
absolutely.
couldn't stay there forever. And so then I moved out. Then a girl named Brie Blair, who's still one of my closest friends to this day, who was Stacy in the original Babysitters Club movie. She tested for a pilot I did when I was 15. Brie and I stayed friends, and then she dropped out of college, and then after I moved out of Jesse's, I moved in with Brie.
Okay. And then the rest is history.
And
You
the
stayed
rest
in
is history, and I
LA.
never left LA except to do a play in New York for a couple years.
That's amazing. And your career just kind of took off from there.
Kind of you to say no. My career
Okay.
took off very few years ago. My career took off at Glow. I was like between organizing jobs and touring and making a couple $100 to play a gig here and there for decades.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is it like auditioning and then like facing rejection?
I mean, my closet was provided by Kristen's hand-me-downs, truly. Yeah, it was cool. You know, I was really lucky because I always had like something. I was by no means on like hit shows and working all the time and killing it as an actor and an entertainer, but I was like getting a commercial here and there and touring if I needed to. And so I was like staving off having to get a 9 to 5 or do, you know, a lot of the jobs that I took were by no means glamorous, but they were at least, and I feel grateful for this, they were at least in the direction or career I wanted them to be in. Like when I talk about my college touring, it was rough. Like I was in motels
Right.
and like sometimes I had to change the motel because it was like genuinely concerning, and I would call the front. Like I had this one time, I called the front desk because I was like, the people staying next to me are banging on the wall and like screaming things through the wall. And she was like, those guys are really drunk, and I saw them come in. If you'd like, I can escort you back to your car. And I don't think it's a bad idea for you to. And the woman at the front desk helped me find somewhere else to stay and like escorted me out of. That was like. I was young and I had a guitar on my back and I was in these random small towns across the country, which so many of are beautiful, but they were like shady situations all the time. This wasn't the Eras Tour, Mom. This was like me alone in a Yaris rental car that the guitar had to be like out the window of. It was like wild.
I have so much respect for it because it's so amazing and it's such a testament, and it's so amazing for people to hear that want to get into acting. And it's such a testament of you keep pushing for something that you want, and eventually it will come into fruition as long as you believe in yourself, you know? And then it's like the perfect part comes along. Nobody wants this.
I feel so lucky.
When did you first audition? And I know you're really good friends with Kristen Biel, right? You guys have been friends for 20 years, which is amazing. So I have so many questions about kind of the relationship in the show that you guys got to play, which was
When
very
I
funny.
think of my dog Glenn and I think of Kristen and my boyfriend Joe, the same thing happens to my face. It turns into like
You get like excited.
yeah, I'm like, yeah. Wow. I love those. I love those ones. Like it's like I
Yeah.
almost feel like yeah, like they're my babies.
How excited was Kristen when she found out that you were auditioning for the role?
I think she was pumped, but I don't know. I never asked her. I mean, I think it's very rare in anyone's career for them to try out for something that they're so dead right for. Like it doesn't happen a lot. Like
You were so right for it.
But Melrose that I played on Glow, they were not looking for me. They were looking for like a Paris Hilton type. Like she was the party girl and she was this. But then
Interesting.
I came in and I was reading for Ruth originally, which was Allie Bree's role. And I was like coming back for it. I think that they loved Allie for Ruth because she's
Right.
brilliant and perfect for it. They wanted to put me somewhere, and I tried out for Sheila the Wolf, and I tried out for the cheerleader, and they were like, and then what I brought to the Melrose character was completely different
That's
than what they had in mind. And so it's not like I walked up to that audition and I was like, bam, let's go.
Sure, bet.
But
No, yeah.
when I read Esther, I was like, oh my God. I mean, if you think about it, the odds as an actor that you're ever like just dead right for something, it doesn't come along that often, right?
No.
Especially if you're kind of particular like me. And then also your good friend is working on that show. It's really a marriage of things that is like so divine
It is.
that it's really hard to wrap even my own brain around.
No, it literally gives me chills because the
too,
role was
dude.
so meant for you. And I know you grew up in a Jewish household. So I'm curious, like, how much influence were you able to draw from your upbringing?
Oh,
and put
100%.
into
I
your
mean,
own-
all. It was funny because for the bat mitzvah scene, I wore this black dress and I called my mom and I was like, Jewish women don't wear black to bat mitzvahs. She was like, well, Orthodox probably don't because we wear black for Shiva and for funerals. But she was like, for a reform. And then she like checked with some people and she was like, no, a black dress is okay for reform. So it was like,
Wait, so you were calling your mom being like, is this right?
Like, are
within
you
the
a
Jewish-
consultant? Because the dress we liked best, Nagar, our costumer, who's incredible, we all love this black dress best. But I was like, let me just call my mom and make sure that like black is okay. I mean, for most people it is, but for like mother of the bat mitz, I was just double checking.
Absolutely. Oh my God, the bat mitzvah scene was so cute.
Thank you.
With the girl that played your daughter and you
Shiloh
guys
is
cutting the
so
dress.
amazing.
Oh, I was just like genuinely so obsessed with your character.
Thank
and I'm
you.
curious, because you and Kristen are such good friends, I think the funniest part about it was obviously you have so much love for Kristen, and I feel like that underlying theme throughout the show is like you actually kind of like her in the show.
Esther ends up, I mean, falling for Joanne the way everybody does. She's funny,
Exactly.
she's cute, she's charming. And
But what was it like playing a character that had to all of a sudden act like they didn't like your best friend? Like, was that funny for you guys?
It was funny, but it's also like acting is it's so fun and silly, and obviously it can be challenging at times. But like playing like you don't, it's not, you know what I mean? I'm not Anthony Hopkins. It's like it's fine. I just pretended I didn't, you know what I mean? It's like it was really fun, and afterwards we would always laugh. And I think I was trying to, with most of the other characters anyway, insert a little bit of levity, like because I obviously didn't. I don't want her to have the same relationship with every person on the show and just
Right.
be, you know, she's
Right.
fiercely loyal and she loves her husband and her daughter. She's just not so thrilled about this new kitten.
I feel like I really connected to the show because Jeremy's family and his grandma, they're very religious Jews. And I grew up Catholic, Roman Catholic. I went to Catholic grammar school, Catholic high school. But it's funny because I like called Jeremy's grandma and I'm like, so would you consider me a shitzvah? And like, keep in mind,
Oh my
she's
God,
like,
you guys, a
what is it called?
shitzvah.
how do you say it?
I love you so much.
Shitzvah?
Not even close. Shiksa. But what's so cute.
Shitska.
Wait, it's so cute. Everyone at home has to know this. So when we were on our run,
Yeah.
Kate was like, which one of us do you think is Jewish?
Uh-huh.
And I was like, not you.
Yeah.
It's just really cute because, like, no.
Right.
You're too, I mean, not you. And I just loved it because I don't know what it is about like my, like, Judaism radar, but, like, it's pretty, I don't know if I've been, trying to think if I've been wrong. I mean, maybe, but not today I wasn't.
Yeah. I wonder what it is. I don't know.
I recently did a play reading with Jason Alexander in LA, and you want to talk a mensch. What just an absolutely delightful human being. But what was really interesting is, like, I was a little hesitant to say it, but once I said it, I was relieved. I was like, do you not feel like we're related? And he was like, I 100% feel like we're related. It was immediate. The second we met, it was like, you, hi, hello. The second we walked in, he's like, what part of Long Island are you from? And I'm like, Oceanside, you? He's like, well, no, I'm not, but my wife is from Iceland. And it was like, again, I can't really explain it. To be honest, I wish I could.
Yeah.
But I just think it's like it's a cultural connection. I think it's anybody of the same culture. You know, I remember in high school, I had friends who were Greek Orthodox, and we went to another town, and there was like one of my good friends, funny enough, two of my good best girlfriends were dating Nikos. And they're from different towns. And when the two Nikos met, it was like they were from the same family. It's just, you just
amazing.
get it. And I think, you know, with Jews, we have that same thing.
So nobody wants this. Do we know yet if there's going to be a season 2?
Yes.
We do?
We found out 2 weeks after we aired.
I had no
We've
idea.
known there's going to be a season 2 for like a month.
Okay, so nobody wants a season 2. Have you guys started filming? When do you start filming?
We start filming, I heard, but I don't know. So hopefully I'm saying this right. But I heard February. But also, like, I don't know. And
How much time do you need to prepare for the role?
None.
Really?
I mean, whenever we get the script. So, you know, like a few days prior, you just memorize each scene as you're gonna film it. So, and you don't you film the episodes in order, but you don't film the scenes in order. So you'll just see what scene you're filming next, and you'll memorize that hopefully a couple days prior. But you get really familiar with each script beforehand, depending on how long before you shoot you get them. But generally, that's not very long.
When you're acting out the scene, how much of it is memorization from the script as it is also like, are you doing any improv?
So it depends.
Yeah.
So, like, I did an episode I was on the season premiere of NCIS. I played a divorce attorney, and it was like a very like zero. Like, you need to memorize exactly word for word what is on that page. You do not deviate. You do not make it your own. No, baby. You show up, you do the job, you go home. On Glow, the writing was so unbelievable and similar to Nobody Wants This, but a lot of the times on Glow, people thought I improvised. Like in this episode where Ruth shows up and she's wearing cute little Reeboks and I forgot my exercise shoes because I'm out from being out all night. And I see her Reeboks and she's like, oh, I have these other shoes. They're like these brown nursing shoes. She's like, for my other job, waitressing. And I look at them and I'm like, where did you waitress? A nursing home in Poland? And everybody texted me like, oh, that's so you. Oh my God, I love that you made that up.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Wow.
Those were our writers. They heard me and they heard how I deliver information and how I deliver jokes and then catered the writing to that. So then I looked better.
Genius.
The show looked better. Everything, all the puzzle pieces fit together better because everybody, instead of like working against, obviously wouldn't be any service to anyone to work against your strengths, but they took who we all were. And then there were some things in Glow that you said, but it was mostly all written. Now on Nobody Wants This, again, almost exclusively written, but there are bits and pieces, like we were in this panel yesterday, and I found this out because I wasn't in that scene, but like where Tim, who plays Sasha, says that when he looks at old pictures of Mandy Patinkin, he gets a half sandwich. Apparently he completely improvised that. And then Kristen popped in like, oh yeah, I've been to this corner, a woman got hit on a bike. Like he's such an idiot.
Yeah.
So he's improvising a lot and saying a bunch of different stuff. And when he and I are in scenes together, all bets are off. So we definitely do everything that's on the page. But then if there's a little moment where we additionally want to, like he says, what are you doing when he comes in the room? We like improvise that. So the scene started just after, but they were like, oh, Tim, you know what? Let's have you enter. So he comes in, he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, pairing your gargantuan socks. What does it look like? So we're just making things up and talking to each other in character. And then the scene starts. We do the whole scene. And then he leaves and he's like, so these shorts do nothing for you? I'm like, it's the mesh. I think like everything we're saying as he's exiting is improvised as well.
Interesting.
But it's just like, we didn't know when we were doing those things, is the scene going to start where the page starts or is it going to start with our little moment?
Right.
And then subsequently, is it going to end where the page ends or is it going to end after our little... So yeah, they were very open to having us play and make the characters our own. Right. But also the show was so well written, so we obviously said everything that was on the page in addition to adding our own little... Schnaz.
So season 2, you guys are going to start filming soon. Anything else coming up that you're excited about?
I mean, it's so soon. It's already November. We're starting in February. So it's like I'm hoping to have, it's been a crazy, the show came out September 26th. It's November.
I can't believe it was so recent. Like,
I can't believe it was so recent or so long ago in this weird way where like, somehow it's still in the top 10. And with Netflix, because everything comes out at one time.
Thank God I was able to binge it in one night.
Stop. The best 5 hours of your life. But like, it's because it all comes out at once, it's hard with a show that comes out and is only 10 episodes, right? To keep the excitement going because everyone saw it already in September. And so we're in this really cool and exciting and rare place where it's November and we're still able to talk about it, which... makes me happy, that's for sure.
Absolutely. All right, I like to end my episodes
with a special kick.
With a special kick.
Okay, then
and
what?
One final question, which is a manifestation. I want you to let us know, what are we manifesting for 2025? Let me hear it.
Health for my family. Health for me and my boyfriend, Joe. Love for me and my boyfriend, Joe. Health and 28 more years of life for my baby son, Glenn. So Glenn will live till 2065. And that Nobody Wants This season 2 is so fun and delicious to make. And that some cool other things. I don't know, maybe that Nanny Broadway show happens and someone says, does Jackie want to read for this? And I say, yes, Mr. Champion.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm absolutely rooting for you in every single thing you do.
Thanks, I'm rooting for you. The cutest, brightest, angelest person.
Thank you.
Thought you were going to trick me thinking you were Jewish.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.